Points you just made there. Yes, I am.
Politics. We hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life.
Of denying people abortions, and I look at the outcomes of countries where abortion has been banned. We can even look at, a lot of people will say, well, people are not responsible, and that's why, we shouldn't be allowing abortions. 64% of people who have an unintended pregnancy were on a contraceptive method. A lot of the times, in fact, most unintended pregnancies in the United States are caused not by contraceptive, not by not having contraceptive, by a gap in coverage or a gap in use, right? So you kind of have to have like a perfect mix of disaster to become have an unintended pregnancy. And I do think that it's an important medical procedure. Again, if you believe that life begins at fertilization, there are tons of eggs that are disposed of through in vitro fertilization. There are tons of miscarriages that happen. A good portion of pregnancies end in miscarriages. So it doesn't really speak to me if you think that life begins at conception or at fertilization or implantation. At the end of the day, we know that abortions are going to happen, whether they're legal or not. And since at least 1/3 of women, I believe, who seek abortions in the United States have had children already, we're now putting those children at risk of losing a parent because they will be seeking a back alley abortion.
You got it. And we're going to jump into open conversation. Want to let you know many upcoming debates, folks. For example, at the bottom right of your screen, tomorrow night, a debate on whether or not science fits more comfortably with atheism or theism. You don't want to miss that tag team debate tomorrow night. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more upcoming debates. And with that, thanks so much, Kenan and Stardust. The floor is all yours for open dialogue.
Okay, well, Stardust, if I may respond to some of the points you just made there. Yes, I am one of those people who believes that life begins at conception because, of course, it does. That's what the medical science tells us. But I agree, that's actually by the by. You're also conflating different events. Like you're talking about the fertilized egg phenomenon. Obviously, if a woman miscarries, that's technically an abortion, because that's what abortion means. In the medical term is for when the womb flushes out the fertilized egg. What we're actually talking about is what we used to call terminations, medical terminations. Obviously, let's not quibble the semantics. When I say abortion, we both know what I mean by that. So miscarriage is unfortunate, but it's not an abortion like we're talking about. The in vitro fertilization, I actually agree that fertilizing a load of eggs and then destroying a lot of these fetuses is also immoral, because you're destroying potential life. They are alive. That's also something that I would absolutely forbid. You do it one at a time, basically, just to restrict that wastage. In terms of gap in coverage with contraception and things like that, it's the responsibility of whoever uses the contraception to make sure that they use it properly. Now, obviously, for women, this, Stardust. I'm going to give you electron female contraception for crying out loud. But obviously, for men, for example, could wear condoms and things like that to reduce the likelihood of unwanted pregnancies. So, yeah, gap in coverage doesn't move me at all. If you fall pregnant, there is another life in play. There is the life in the belly of the mother. Second problem, when you come to personal responsibility, you say that, there are children who are alive who might lose a mother to a back alley abortion. Well, obviously, I don't want people to go to quacks who've got coat hangers or whatever, improvised medical equipment. But that's the other thing, because you mentioned, because they've already got kids, therefore you are mentioning an argument, an economic argument. It's not moral. So the idea is that, if you can't afford, you've got 2 children, you can't afford a third one. First of all, I don't believe that's entirely true. And second of all, it's still not an excuse for killing the baby. See, I could understand if a woman fell pregnant by accident, not through rape or anything like that. She fell pregnant by accident. She can't afford the child. She could, if she wanted to, give the baby up for adoption. Now, I realise that adoption services in Britain are crap. I don't know what they're like in the United States. I imagine they're not particularly good because foster care systems are rubbish all over the world. But it's still not a reason for killing a child. So I'm not particularly moved by that argument either. And I think that's enough rambling for me. So if you want to come back on that, Stardust, feel free to do so.
Yeah. So you can make the argument that people can give up their children to adoption agencies if they really feel like they're incapable of raising a child. But we've seen what happens in countries where there have been bans on abortion, like Romania is an excellent example. And when Romania, like when basically communism fell, basically there were hundreds of thousands of children that were found in these orphanages in Romania. And a lot of them were shackled to the beds. A lot of them had never been touched by a human being before. A lot of them had been stunted because they were they had no development, basically nobody there to help them develop. So yeah, it was about like 170,000 children were kept in these like adoption centers. And I don't think that that's a great outcome either. If we're looking at like the best outcome for children that currently exist and for children that may come to exist later, I think making abortion available is the only way to kind of allow for that. We can look at what happens to women who are turned away from abortions. There's a turnaway study I like to look at a lot of the time. Women who are turned away from abortions oftentimes are stay with violent partners, and they often expose their existing children and the unborn child to violence in the home. As a result of that, people who are turned away from abortions often are experience financial hardship for like up to 5 years after they've been turned away. I believe it's like 20% of people who seek out abortions are also doing so because they feel that they can't emotionally handle being pregnant. They feel their mental health is not in a place where they can handle being pregnant. So I do think that if we're looking at outcomes overall, we're looking at like quality of life overall, I think the best way to ensure that everybody has a better quality of life and that we actually can take care of people who exist in this world, I think the best way to do that is make sure that abortion is available.
Okay. Well, the problem with that is that, again, what you're doing is I should explain a more nuanced position that I hold, Stardust. This is where the conversation starts. It's not where it stops. So, yes, Roe versus Wade has been repealed. Hooray for me and my side. But I am also conscious of the fact that there will be outcomes. There will be impact from this. There will be a mess to mop up. So you mentioned, for example, all the examples you've given of anti-abortion laws failing are actually problems to do with either foster care or government welfare and things like that. So you use the example of the Romanian orphanages. Now, I know about this one because I follow someone on TikTok called Roma who was adopted by Canadians and was from a Romanian orphanage. Adopted by Canadians from a Romanian orphanage. And so she knows something about this. And she knows it was Nicholas? I forget his first name. Ceausescu, who was a psychopath, obviously didn't care about people. Like most communist dictators, saw people as a mass and didn't care about individual human suffering at all. When you're saying, you're talking about children being chained to railings, you're talking about children that are malnourished, you're talking about children who've never been touched by another human being. Those are not arguments for abortion. Those are arguments for, prosecution under the law for child abuse and for improvements in the Romanian foster care system. It doesn't justify the killing of unborn children because, well, that's expensive and difficult. Therefore, we should destroy the unborn children to make sure that the problem doesn't occur. You also mentioned the fact that the increase in violence in the home and things like this because they don't have access to abortion and things like that. It creates stress, money worries. I'm not opposed to governments issuing, obviously in the UK, we have something called child, what do we call it now? We want to call it child, but it's like child income support or child benefit allowance to allow young mothers or new mothers with newborn children to buy essentials for the baby, things like nappies and formula and things like that. I'm sure a lot of them spend it on booze or whatever, but it's meant for the essentials for the baby. So again, there are ways that you can deal with that. You could tweak this issue. The only downside I could see in somewhere like a country like yours, the United States, is because you think, well, your country seems to think that welfare is communism. It's unlikely that you're going to get a lot of this stuff. Now, obviously, again, that's an add-on. So what you do is you say, right, we're not going to kill unborn children. Every single human being, regardless of social status or intellectual ability, has innate value. We went back in the bad old days when God was alive. We used to say that every human being was a child of God, was made in the image of God, and therefore had a special value that no human agency could take away. We've lost all that now. But I'd like to see that return, maybe even in a secular fashion. This idea that, there's some basic things that people should, society, the wider culture should offer to people who are struggling in whatever circumstance. So, if you want to pick that up, Stardust, feel free to do it.
I think the issue, though, is repealing Roe v. Wade wouldn't be as much of an issue if we had other laws in place that would help alleviate these conditions. But what it needs to now, because we are repealing it, and we know through the repeal, at least I think 13 states are going to have abortion bans overall. We're basically forcing people to have unwanted children and not creating the circumstances for people to raise those children in a healthy household and a healthy community with enough resources to give to that child. So what this seems like to me is that we're basically forcing people on one end without providing a solution to them to make sure that those children being raised are now going to have good lives. So it doesn't really speak to me that when you talk about it as the right to having this life, when the people who are trying to help bring up this life don't even have the resources to do so, right? And then we have to leave it up to the state then, and we know that the state system of like foster care is not good. We know that it's just it's a horrible system to go through. So I think we can agree that like we don't want abortion to be the first thing that people turn to. But when we don't even come up with solutions, with laws, with programs that can help families and help even single mothers raising children, then what choice are we leaving them?
Get exactly what you want on Wayfair.
Cute table. Kelly Clarkson.
Like a multifunctional find that does it all.
That's cool.
A lot of storage in a small space.
Hi. Is it weird if I buy the same one because I maybe just did? Woohoo!
And a kitchen refresh in a snap.
Side table food wagon. This kitchen cart is the best. It does it all.
A drink bar?
One quick swap, bam, it's a whole new look.
Shall we?
Yes, we shall.
When Jesus Christ went to the cross and paid the penalty for our sin, the fire came down on all that we have ever done wrong or will ever do wrong. And Jesus introduced at that day the age of grace. Today, God's method for dealing with rebellion is not to send down fire from heaven, but to send the love of Jesus Christ into the heart of the rebel. Listen to these words from the Apostle Paul. Do you despise the riches of his goodness, forbearance, and long-suffering, not knowing that the goodness of God leads you to repentance?
We have no shortage of stories.
Well, Stardust, the problem is that because obviously I come from the UK and I'm still in the UK, I've been all over the world. The thing about, because I should give you some background. I studied English and American literature and culture at university, which doesn't make me an expert on America because I don't live there, but it means that obviously I've looked at your culture, it's the evolution of its political system and things like that. You are American, aren't you? Not Canadian, is that right?
I'm American, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I can never tell the accents apart. I do apologise. But the trouble is that your system, welfare programs in your country don't work for two reasons. One, Americans don't seem to like it. The American culture is very individualistic and doesn't like socialise, centralise anything. But also because it's a federal system, there's no one federal plan that's ever worked effectively. There's no centralized authority that can really, no centralized federal program that really meets the needs of the people it's meant to serve. So you could argue, yes, okay, we could get rid of babies, unborn babies, to save us the bother. But even if we did it, the idea that the government will solve the problem, at least, well, it's certainly true in the UK. It's definitely true in your country. That doesn't work either. It has to start. America works best when it works locally. And that's also true in the UK. National welfare programs are terrible on a grander scale, but in local areas, particularly in like greater metropolitan areas, local councils are more effective because they can deal with local issues at the local level. So, you are going to have to leave it up to the states, even if you don't like those states, because that is only the only effective way you're going to deal with the inevitable fallout of banning abortion on demand. If you want to come back on that, you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I can agree that we generally America doesn't like to provide these types of programs, or when they do provide the programs, they don't really do much, and oftentimes there's like a lot of paperwork and a lot of hoops to jump through.
What's up, bro? What's going on? How are you doing? Over there from YouTube, it looked like. I can't pronounce your name because it looks like it's in Israel. It's like you might be Jewish, probably. But how are you doing? How are you doing, bro? How's your morning? Well, are you from America or where are you from? Where are you from, man?
So I can agree with that. I still think that, again, so many, there is a percentage of abortions that are done because they're medically necessary. Those need to be available. And
yes, Denver, my brother. Okay, so you're from Denver. Okay, but you're just using Hebrew text for your name. Okay, you're from Colorado. All right, that's cool. That's pretty cool, bro. I'm guessing that you are Hebrew, huh? Deaf. Interesting times we live in. Oh yeah. How do you feel about what's going on right now? About what happened yesterday? And if you could, bro, please hit that subscribe. And if you do like conversations like these, I do host political panels on Fridays and Saturdays. Just like last night, it was a pretty lit show. So if you ever want to stop by or just feel free to join the community. I'll post a link down below to the Discord. Give me 1 second. But are you into politics? I'm guessing. I got you, my brother. I'll be checking back in, definitely digging your vibe. For sure, bro. Appreciate you. But yeah, give me 1 second. Drop in like that, bro. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, give me 1 second. I'm about to post a link to my Discord right now. Where do you lean politically? Do you what would you say, like you're more right or you're more left, or how do you feel about that? All right, bro. I just posted it right now. Definitely appreciate you for hitting that subscribe though, bro. Because to be honest, it's I would say it's been a task as far as growing a community on YouTube. You know, like I stream simultaneously, like on Twitch and whatnot, and you know I've been getting more followers and more interactions on Twitch, but YouTube has been kind of hard. But yesterday and today has been good, you know. So I definitely appreciate y'all for stopping by, for real, for real. It definitely does mean a lot to me. You got any plans for the day though, or?
And there's a percentage of abortions that are done because again because of rape or because of incest or because of a birth defect where the child will be born and live in horrible pain and then die. So, I mean, I think these are things that need to be available. And again, regardless of whether it's legal or not, people are going to have them regardless. So it's either we have it legal and they're having safe ones, and we can try to encourage them to have to take actions prior to becoming pregnant, so that they don't have to enter that situation, or we can make it illegal and do the same. But now people who seek an abortion are now going to be so much more likely to experience a complication or even death.
Okay, so I and my fellow pro-lifers like Kay Fellows, who's often appeared on this channel and has spoken on, is also like pro-life pagan. I don't know if you've ever met her. I was going to say, rational pro-lifers like us do not oppose medically necessary abortions. So if pregnancy or birth would kill the mother, and there is no way you can sort of cut the baby out and let it live outside of the womb in an incubator or something like that. Then obviously an abortion is the lesser of two evils, but it's still it's a necessary evil. And that's how, but we just.
You said, bro, YouTube is rough. I'm glad I found you and you speak the truth. We'll do the best to keep you out of the algorithm. Yeah, that's why, you know, I've been, you know, because I'm always going to speak the truth and whatnot, and, you know, build a community to where I can have other people come over here and speak their truth also. But it just learning how to kind of maneuver around the system, if that makes sense, you know, learning how to, because I still gotta, I guess, play the game how they want to play it, like on their platform, you know, like to be able to stay on their platform or whatnot. But that's why I'm streaming on multiple platforms, though, you know, because you never know what might happen. But yeah, but YouTube it's been rough, but I definitely really appreciate having people like you. But yeah, bro, where do you lean politically though? Are you more right? Are you more left? Or
just still recognise it as the killing of an unborn child. Your point about if the child is born deformed or disabled, will suffer and then die. There are very few conditions that I can think of that I've looked up in preparation for the conversations like this, where a child is going to, you know, suffer an agonizing youth and then die prematurely. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Most people, when they say, oh, well, if the child is disabled or deformed, what they tend to mean is Down syndrome, because that's one of the few congenital defects or, you know, chromosomal mutations that can be detected in utero. I'm sorry, but that's not a compelling argument. If your response to, oh, my child's got Down syndrome is kill it, then that makes you not very nice person. It's a eugenicist argument. It's the idea that these people, because they are chromosomally mutated, are undeserving of life. if you take that to its logical extreme, and I'm not saying that you have done or will do, you can justify an awful lot of nonsense with that kind of reasoning. You know, what if they're a burden in the belly, why aren't they a burden in the street? You know, why can't I round up people with genetic abnormalities and send them send them to a shower room that pipes gas in? You know, why can't I do? You know, it opens that door, and I don't want to open that. I want to keep that door firmly shut and preferably locked. For this reason, I don't like designer babies. I'm not a big fan of IVF. Again, I don't like the element of choice. I don't believe that because again, expanding on this, I'm not in favour of the death penalty. I don't believe that human agency should decide whether individual human lives human beings have the right to live. It weirds me out. It's creepy. So I don't want it. It's even if someone deserves to die, we don't deserve to kill them. Do you see the distinction there? So I just back away from all of it. There are topics I will not allow government agencies certainly to flirt with. Again, if you want to pick that up, feel free.
Yeah. So again, I'm not advocating for people to be having abortions because they find out their child is going to have Down syndrome, right? I am talking about those few cases, right, where again there are, when I'm talking about like medical abnormalities, we're talking about like birth defects, things like that, or things that harm the mother. But since you don't seem to have like a disagreement with that, again, I would just bring it back to the fact that we know abortions will be happening regardless of whether they're illegal or legal. And I think the best way to prevent more abortions is not to make it illegal, but to prevent more abortions. The way to prevent more abortions is to make contraceptives easily accessible
Yes.
to as many people as possible. Glad we can agree on that one. To
Yes.
have social programs that will help people. But as far as making abortion illegal, it's not going to stop people from getting abortions. People are going to find a way to get them regardless.
Yes, that's absolutely true, but I'm afraid, Stardust, I'm not moved by that argument either. I should explain. You can use that argument to justify pretty much anything. Like, for example, you and I would agree that slavery is wrong. No, we shouldn't own people as property. People are not livestock to be harnessed with with reins and used to pull farm equipment, right? Slavery, bad idea. People are going to own slaves, though. So, people are going to find a way of enslaving people, because slavery is still a problem in the United States, in all the Western countries, definitely in the Arab world. I used to live in the Middle East, and I know that the entire Arab world runs on slave labor. It's quite horrendous. Chinese sweatshops, I'm sure you want to talk about mega corporations enslaving their own people in their own countries to do this work. So people are always going to find ways of doing it. Still doesn't make it right. Still doesn't mean I have to lie. It doesn't mean I have to legalize it. It's a bit extreme, my example. But yeah, the idea that people are going to do it anyway, to me, is not a compelling argument, because you are still going to reduce the number of abortions. You are still going to reduce the number of people who want it. Also, if your response to being pregnant with, and let's face it, most pregnancies are healthy and viable, the medical intervention only comes in when the mother chooses to have one. It's not because, oh, by the way, this birth is going to kill you. Because I'm sure there are plenty of examples from El Salvador, from Ireland, but which obviously up until relatively recently had draconian anti-abortion laws, where women were basically on death's door because the state refused to intervene and perform a medically necessary abortion. So no one rational with an IQ above room temperature is arguing that if birth would kill the mother, that they have to carry the baby to term, because you're going to end up you're still going to end up with a corpse at the end of it, and your inaction is leading to that death. So yeah, that's not the point I'm making. What was the other point? I've lost my train of thought. I've rambled my way into a corner. I do apologize, Stardust.
It's fine.
This is terrible.
So to address your point about slavery, the reason why we were able to, part of the reason why we were able to successfully reduce slavery so much and make it not a normal thing is that we provided people the ability to enter society and make lives for themselves, right? It's not that we make something illegal and that's the end of it, right? There has to be other things that go along with that enable people to have better lives. And when we talk about abortion, again, we don't have those things available. People, and abortion is a bit different from slavery in that, like, slavery is like an ongoing process you have to maintain, right? Like abortion is something that people seek out to, when they are in a hard part in their lives. They either think they're not emotionally able to handle carrying a child, or they're not financially able. Something like I think over half of people who seek out abortions are living below like the federal poverty line. And a lot of them are not even able to cover their basic living expenses prior to having a child. It like when we talk about this, again, I'm all for things that will reduce the amount of people getting abortions, but making it illegal doesn't seem like one of those things. It will only reduce it, and it won't reduce it out of like a good reason to reduce it. It'll reduce it because it's illegal. It's not reducing it because now this person has the resources to take care of a child. Oftentimes, like, when people find out, also back to the birth defect thing, a lot of the times, you don't realize that a child is going to have a serious defect until like later on in the pregnancy. I do think that these are things that need to be, like, again, decisions that are left up to a doctor and a patient. It should always be advised by a doctor. Again, like, people are just not going to stop having abortions because it's illegal. They will just find a way. Already you see an influx in people talking about how to make at-home birth abortion pills. People talking about, things that you can take to stop a pregnancy. I guess that's kind of where I was going with this for now, I guess. So, yeah.
Well, okay. Well, no, fair enough. I mean, I'll take your points one at a time. The problem is with making slavery. I mean, well, there's no problem with making slavery illegal, obviously, but repealing slavery means that it allowed people to move forward to crush slavery wherever they found it. It gave people permission to say, this is not an institution we respect in our country anymore. We want nothing to do with it. We could go after it. If you take away the right of abortion, you take away the easy exit route. This is one of the reasons, like, for example, one of the reasons I believe, and this is something that you might disagree with because you live in your own country and therefore you would have more details. One of the reasons why American lefties, because I'm not left wing, one of the reasons why American lefties find it so difficult to get social welfare programs that most post-industrial Western countries have is because people just think it's unnecessary. Because abortion is the cheaper option. Right, it's cheaper to kill a baby than to feed it. Let's be honest. We could both agree on that. So abortion is seen as the way forward. By taking away that option and by increasing the number of births, you would inevitably, at least on local levels, increase a demand for the very welfare programs that lefties have been calling for in your country for decades. So there's that to look forward to. The second thing is, I don't know about all this, whether people who want abortion fall below the poverty line. I have to trust you on that one because I haven't got any numbers to confirm that. You said something else as well. Yes, that many defects in a child are not revealed until later in the pregnancy. Still don't care. I'm not comfortable with this idea that because you have to bear in mind, Stardust, that you can get rid of a child for no reason whatsoever. And this is something that I think a lot of pro-choice activists are not aware of. What a woman, I'm sure you've heard her name, but a woman at the center of abortion in the United States was a woman called Norma McCorvey, who died in 2017, and her obituary was published in The Economist. That's how prominent she was. And she was a pro-choice activist right back in the early days before Roe versus Wade was passed. When it was finally passed, she couldn't have an abortion. She gave her child up for adoption, and she went to work for an abortion clinic, which had recently become legal. And so when she was working on the reception desk, she got to hear the reasons that women gave, for wanting an abortion. And she wasn't satisfied with most of them. She said, you don't actually have a reason to abort the child. You're just doing it because it's a matter of convenience. Norma McCorvey is, of course, known to American legal history as Jane Roe. And Jane Roe is the center of Roe versus Wade. So the woman, the figure at the center of Roe versus Wade, converted to Roman Catholicism and became an anti-abortion activist for the rest of her natural life. So the trouble is that I don't think disability is grounds for abortion. I don't think that poverty is necessarily grounds for abortion. These are excuses to get rid of a problem. And I don't regard any human being as a problem. Or they're a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, but they're not a problem, because I can get rid of problems. I can't get rid of puzzles. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Get exactly what you want on Wayfair.
Cute table. Kelly Clarkson.
Like a multifunctional find that does it all.
That's cool.
A lot of storage in a small space.
Hi. Is it weird if I buy the same one because I maybe just did? Woohoo!
And a kitchen refresh in a snap.
Side table food wagon. This kitchen cart is the best. It does it all.
A drink bar?
One quick swap, bam, it's a whole new look.
Shall we?
Yes, we shall.
With Ultimate Summer Pass from TXU Energy, you save 50% on your energy charges and get free energy on the hottest days.
50%? That's a good deal.
And guaranteed free energy on the hottest days.
Free days are great days.
And you can track your savings right from the TXU Energy app.
This is the ultimate plan.
Seems like they agree. This one looks familiar.
I don't see it.
TXU Energy. Energy for everything.
Sure, but I don't really care about like so like you said, still don't care. Like I still don't care what like this one person is saying about the reasons for people getting abortions, right? Financial reasons may make 40% of the people who seek out an abortion, but financial reasons is just one of many reasons that they choose. It's only something like 5% of people who seek out abortions are getting it only for a financial reason. It's usually in addition to not being financially prepared, but also like there's like at least a third of women who seek out abortions are doing it because of partner related reasons. Either their partner has already become abusive far before they became pregnant, or a lot of the time, the first time that people, for a lot of women, the first time that people experience violence in a relationship is when they become pregnant, and it tends to escalate when they become pregnant. So financial reasons are not the only reason that people seek out abortion. It's just one of many. It may be one most common one that happens, but it's usually accompanied by something else, whether that is a partner related reason, whether that is a health related reason, whether that is a mental health thing, right? So yeah, it's not for no reason, right? It is if you are in a situation, and a lot of these domestic abusive situations often escalate. And so now you feel like you're not ready for a pregnancy because the person you're with is violent. The child that you already have is being exposed to this violence in the household. You don't have the ability to like separate yourself, move yourself away from that person, and terminate a pregnancy. Not terminate and carry a pregnancy at the same time. It's just not, it's not something that a lot of people can do. Like when we look at this, people often think that people are doing this out of convenience, and sure, you can say it's out of convenience, but I would say that like if you have a partner who is either in and out of jail, or who is physically abusive with you, or is not financially able to support you, or you yourself are having serious mental health issues, yeah, it's still technically for convenience, but these are very legitimate reasons.
Well, this is it. I mean, I can understand, because they're in difficult situations. Another confession, I should say. I used to be a high school English teacher, so I know I've taught kids from troubled backgrounds, as we say euphemistically in the profession. I don't teach English anymore because I recovered my sanity. So yeah, I understand that there can be, but again, none of these are reasons for abortion. What these are reasons for something else. So you say, for example, if the partner, presumably a male partner, is abusive, or they're always in and out of jail, or they can't hold a job, or whatever, that's an argument for removing mother and baby or the partner. It's not not an argument for killing the baby. Likewise,
right, but often, but often, like I said, you can't remove them from that situation and carry a child to full to term while doing that. It's just not possible financially.
No, but it could be. This is the point.
But
No scenarios, Stardust, that you have proposed in those nightmare scenarios, like the husband's abuse, the male partner is abusive, or the male partner goes to jail, the male partner can't hold a job. Those are not arguments for killing an unborn child. Those are arguments for doing something else to mitigate those circumstances. Because the argument, or not the argument, but the solution to the problem cannot begin with destroying the problem. If the problem is the problem the pregnancy, or the problem the abusive partner, or the criminal history, or whatever it is. But instead of dealing with all of that, which I would argue is much more important and much more socially important, if you destroy the baby, you kind of cut out, not you personally, but one ignores all of the other factors, because what you've done is, we've just reduced the burden.
Dude, it's cheating. Who is this dude, bro? Who is this dude?
We were talking earlier. You talked about how it's a lesser of two evils to terminate a pregnancy because it's going to cause harm to the mother, right? Is it not also the lesser of two evils to terminate a pregnancy because you were financially unable to both carry a child to term while leaving an abusive partner? Is it not the lesser of two evils? I would say that, like, if carrying a child to term is going to expose two children to physical harm, and the woman, then I would say that it is the lesser of two evils to terminate the pregnancy. If it's going to cause the woman harm because it causes her, there's a birth issue, I think it's just as valid to say that that it's fine to terminate a pregnancy if it's going to put other children at harm.
So, because a man can't control his temper, say, an unborn baby and an entire human timeline should die.
Well, because a mother can't just carry a child to term despite whatever medical, just like sit with it and take it. We should just terminate a pregnancy then, just because she's going to have some sort of a defect. Why can't the husband just take care of it if she passes? What's the big deal?
Well, because there are very few births where, very few children. So, a baby might survive the birth. It might kill the mother, but obviously I don't want the mother to die either. See, what we're doing is now we're conflating social issues with medical problems. See, there are it's highly unlikely that if
social issues are tied, though. Social issues are tied inherently to medical issues, right? Like, people with lower incomes are more likely to have birth defects, or more likely to have defects that are going to again, people with lower incomes and people in the lower federal income bracket are more likely across the board to be in abusive relationships, to experience birth defects, to experience addiction. There's like a whole bunch of these are why we kind of we look at health as a whole, and health is very tied to your economic income and your economic status.
Right. If the object is to do no harm, then abortion would count as harm, because there's an unborn life, an entire timeline that's been abandoned. It's an abnegation of responsibility. My argument, as I said earlier in this conversation, this is where the conversation starts, not where it stops. I am not suggesting for a moment that there won't be difficulties. I'm not suggesting for a moment that there won't be social programs that need to be instigated. What I am suggesting is I'm removing an option from the table. I want more options, yes, but this can't be one of them. So if the argument is,
What's up, bro?
My husband can't control
this
his
shit over here lagging
we're
right
poor,
now.
we live in Dogpatch, Nebraska, and we're finding it difficult to pay against me, and he, keeps hitting me. Killing an unborn.
Wait a minute, bro. What's up, bro? It's called it's a new game that just came out like a few days ago. It's called Nakira Blade Point. It's pretty badass. It's almost like, I would say it's like PUBG, but like with ninjas. It's like a battle royale game, but with ninjas. Like, it's badass, bro. It's pretty fucking cool. I got my ass whooped though, cause this dude right here is good. So now I gotta wait till game's over with. Is it still lagging? I had lowered the resolution, so it should be a little bit better now. Oh yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely for PC, because you gotta have either a PC or the new Xbox to be able to actually download it. But yeah, it's a badass game, bro. Let me know whenever you do download it so we can play with each other. Because, bro, like, look at what this dude is doing. This is the most advanced player that I've seen so far. Because, I mean, like I said, the game just came out like a few days ago. But this dude right here is a fucking beast, bro. This is why at first I thought I was playing it. I thought I was playing against fucking bots for a while. Because I was like, why is it so easy to fucking kill people? And then I fucking, then I fucking hopped on here. I fucking hopped on here and started playing today, and I fucking got my ass whooped by this dude. I was like, okay, maybe there is some good people in this game. Okay, I'll see you the name real quick. Give me 1 second, bro. Yeah, my shit is tripping. My shit. I don't know if it's my internet connection. All right, bro. I just posted it in chat right now, and it should be on Game Pass. Okay, it's not lagging.
Thank you for your service.
Did you find it, bro? Did you find it? Bro, like, look at this dude. This dude is a fucking beast, bro. He be cheating so fucking bad. I'm gonna whoop his fucking ass next time I see him, bro. I swear.
The shadow will shortly begin to spread.
They're nearby.
Helping me like that.
Know that you have made a powerful ally.
Lesson learned.
That was a close one. Lesson learned. Know that you have made a powerful ally. May our ancestors forgive
Did
your
it.
sloppiness.
unborn child, it's one less problem, but the solution doesn't fix anything else. I'd much rather help mother and baby than just mother in that scenario. Does that make sense?
Right. But then again, we're talking about you are fine with us terminating a pregnancy if it's going to harm the mother. Why is the mother's health, why does that overrule the potential life of that child?
Well, no, but the only reason I suggest if it kills the mother is because it's highly unlikely for a woman to carry a baby to term and give birth to it if the baby birth is going to kill her. Even if the baby, if birth is going to kill the mother, you can always perform, for example, a cesarean section. I was born by C-section, just when my head is a cube. Well, it wasn't squeezed by the vaginal canal. So yeah, you can carry a baby to term. But if birth kills the mother, then obviously there's C-section. If pregnancy kills the mother, then you have to perform an abortion or a medical termination. Because either way, if the pregnancy is going to kill the mother, the baby's going to die anyway. So in that scenario,
not
the question
necessarily. It's rare, but it's not necessarily, right? We can definitely say that like it's less likely, but in the case that we know, in the very rare case that we know that a woman is going to die by giving birth, but the child can still live, I don't see why, with your argument, why we would put the mother first.
Well,
also, what's stopping us from prosecuting people for miscarriages then, right? If somebody doesn't take all the steps to prevent having a miscarriage, what's stopping us from prosecuting them for having an abortion?
Well, two problems there. First of all, if giving birth and C-section not the same thing. So if birth kills the mother, obviously we want mother to live, so we would cut the baby from her. We can do that now. We have the technology. With regards to punishing people for miscarriage, that would be ridiculous. Miscarriage is a natural phenomenon. It is perfectly plausible for a young mother, mother who's pregnant, woman who's pregnant, to go take all the hormones, take all the vitamins, do all the exercises, and Mother Nature, who is a fickle mistress, let's be honest, can just say, you know what, screw it, flush it out. And I've because I know, obviously I've never had a miscarriage, but I know women in my circle who've had stillbirths, miscarriages. They've suffered the disappointment of not even being able to get pregnant. There's the whole drama behind all of that, and it's traumatic. I know one of my old, when I was teaching in down in Essex, one of my old colleagues was pregnant. She'd always wanted to be, but was told by a doctor when she was younger she'd never fall pregnant. So when she did fall pregnant, it was great, but then the baby died in utero, and she had to go to hospital to have the corpse of the baby surgically removed. Now, I've never asked details about that because, one, I don't want to know. Two, it's not my place to really ask that sort of thing. But that's horrifying. You can't punish people for a natural action over which they have no control. You could argue, and I don't do this, you could argue that if you induced a miscarriage, like you used a coat hanger or something, that you could punish someone for doing that. But obviously you'd have to prove it, and it's getting in the weeds. The point I'm making is you cannot, if the baby is healthy and viable, if the mother is healthy and viable, and the mother can bring the baby to term and give birth without any medical complications whatsoever, abortion on demand is completely unjustified. You're only doing it because you either A, can't be bothered, or B, you don't want to suffer the stress of it, or C, that you're afraid of the financial responsibility, which can be mitigated against. The solution to all of the social problems that you have proposed, and I recognize them as social problems because we have them in the UK as well, the solution to the social problem is not exterminating human beings. That history is that often enough that you have to find something else a bit more compassionate and humane.
Okay, so what is the line between somebody inducing a miscarriage and inducing an abortion? Where is the line? We have had people in the United States. We've had people in the United States who have been charged for having miscarriages. We've had people in the United States who have been charged for like somebody else inducing a miscarriage. So where is the line? Because we can look at that. Also, if you are saying we have to prove that somebody's miscarriage was with intent, you were just talking about earlier, we shouldn't be allowing people to have abortions just because they're in a horrible home life and their children are being exposed to harm in that home life and abuse in that home life, right? And then, but by that same logic, we would have to again prove that that person within, within that time period is one, being abused by their abuser, or if it's a rape, like that they were raped by a rapist, right? How are we going to prove that? Oftentimes people don't even seek out medical care after they've been abused or after they've been raped.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would argue that if you're inducing a miscarriage, then you're performing a form of auto-abortion. You're actually performing an abortion on yourself. So I wouldn't actually draw a distinction at all. But also I am aware in places like El Salvador, for example, that women have gone to prison for miscarriage. Well, that's lunacy. The burden of proof would have to fall on the prosecution to prove that the defendant has killed the baby. If you can't do that if you can't prove it beyond reasonable doubt, then unfortunately the woman walks free. So I'm not one of these people who thinks, because I think the problem with the pro-life argument is it's misframed by pro-choice activists, because they think that it's really about either punishing women or restricting women, or it's something about, we're seeking revenge on women in some weird way. And I'm not saying you've done that, but I'm saying that there are nuances that need to be tweaked here. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that the repeal of Roe versus Wade is the end of the matter. And I've uttered that throughout this conversation. What I am suggesting is that if your solution to a baby in poverty is to kill the baby rather than solve the poverty, you haven't solved anything at all. And so there are, and I'll keep iterating that point, because it's the idea that, okay, the father's abusive, that deal with the abuse. The mother is poor, deal with the poverty. Those are things you fix. You don't fix either of those problems by killing the child in the first place, because in actual fact, killing the child fixes the poverty, because there are less mouths to feed. And that's why I said at the beginning, when I was talking about
my fault, guys, I'm over here taking pictures of my
the arguments for abortion tend to be economic.
What's up, people? Appreciate y'all for stopping by up in the stream.
Because it reduces the number of people claiming the welfare state. That's the real reason they like doing it. There's no philosophical, spiritual, or moral reason for abortion on demand at all. There might be medical reasons, obviously we discussed those, but everything else is pretty flimsy, at least as far as I can tell.
With Ultimate Summer Pass from TXU Energy, you save 50% on your energy charges and get free energy on the hottest days.
50%? That's a good deal.
And guaranteed free energy on the hottest days.
Free days are great days.
And you can track your savings right from the TXU Energy app.
This is the ultimate plan.
Seems like they agree. This one looks familiar.
I don't see it.
TXU Energy. Energy for everything.
If somebody wanted to do an investigation into Christianity, where would you start?
If the resurrection of Jesus didn't happen, it's a house of cards.
You sure you want to give me that loaded gun?
I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to pull the trigger.
I've spent my entire career as a journalist uncovering the truth. Until the day my wife presented me with the biggest story of my life.
I'm not going to lose my wife and my kids to something that I can't even reason with.
And what happened next changed me forever.
Okay, so until we fix the abuse and the poverty situation, which are also going to lead to medical issues, right? We know that there is a correlation with poverty and abuse and medical issues. Unless we fix that, there's no reason for me to even consider taking abortion off the table, because right now, raising a child in an environment like that would be so incredibly harmful to that child, especially when we know there's no way you can afford to carry a child to term, raise a child while you're trying to leave an abusive partner. Secondly, I would say that even with miscarriages, where are you drawing the line? How do we draw the line between an induced miscarriage and a non-induced miscarriage? How are we going to determine who is going to be charged for that and who isn't going to be charged for that? Because it just seems if you don't charge it, then you're okay with back alley abortions, right? You're okay with people going out and seeking unsafe abortions and possibly putting themselves at risk. Or if you do charge it, then we're in an area where we are now we have to determine, how do we know that this person induced that miscarriage?
Okay, so the first one is when you said about the. So let me just make sure I'm not misquoting you. If you allow abortion on demand to remain on the table, your government, especially your society, has no inducement to fix any of the social issues we've mentioned. There has to be a problem to be solved. If you get rid of the unborn child, there is no problem to solve, and those are a lot of the social issues. The problems are still there. The problems were still there, but there's less incentive to solve it because there are less, people to worry about. Second of all, when it comes to induced miscarriage and natural miscarriage, if a woman says I miscarried, we must assume that she's innocent. She must assume innocence until she's proven guilty. And if we can't prove it, then fair enough. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. It would be incredibly difficult to prove. The El Salvadorian problem is that they just assumed, because of their draconian anti-abortion laws, that every miscarriage, or a great majority of their miscarriages, were induced by desperate women, which of course is an assumption of guilt until they prove innocence. The burden of proof falls upon the defendant. Our legal system, one would hope, and it's certainly our legal system in the UK, doesn't work on that. So if I can't prove it, she walks free. That's it.
Right.
I don't consider. I don't think.
But
that,
then,
to be honest,
what I'm hearing is that you're okay with.
Let me just finish that.
Okay.
Let me just finish that point. So, to be honest, that's a really minor issue. The idea of miscarriages, was it induced, was it natural? It's really minor. I would assume that most miscarriages are natural anyway, because I'm like that. So that to me is getting in. If I be honest, that's getting in the weeds. It still doesn't address the fundamental problem: is abortion on demand an ethical good, a moral good, or a social necessity? And that to me, in the highly unlikely scenario that a woman is brought up on charges for inducing her own miscarriage, how would you prove it? I mean, look, if she drank something that gets flushed out of her system, any damage to, say she'd used the coat hanger, any physical damage would heal itself relatively quickly. If nobody knew that she was pregnant, that's another one. If the pregnancy was kept very quiet among friends and family, again, there's no evidence of the pregnancy in the first place. So it's really, really minor and technical, but it doesn't really go anywhere.
Okay. So because we don't know where the line is between an induced abortion and an induced miscarriage, it's pretty much the same thing. And because you are okay with not having to prosecute people who induce miscarriages, what I am hearing from you is that you're totally okay with back alley abortions, with unsafe medical procedures, with the increased possibility of these people who go out and seek abortions dying and leaving their children now without a mother, without a parent in their house. So you either have to bite the bullet that, okay, we're increasing, we're exponentially increasing the amount of unsafe medical procedures that are unregulated, or we're going to have to prosecute people for inducing miscarriages, and we're going to have to determine where the line is when somebody induces a miscarriage. Do we consider it an induced abortion, etc.? Right? 11% of back alley abortions kill the mother. By the way, that's a huge percentage.
But this is the big problem here. An induced miscarriage is an abortion. You keep using those two phrases. There's no distinction there. An induced miscarriage. So if you take an abortifacient, deliberately knowing that you're going to flush a viable fetus out of your uterus, that is an abortive technique. But there is no distinction. Second of all, because miscarriages are a natural phenomenon and they happen with alarming regularity, as a lot of feminists will comment in their writings. I mean, I've lost count of the number of feminist journalists who've written about their miscarriage or their stillbirth. Right? It's slowly but surely coming out. You can't prosecute people for miscarriages realistically. I mean, You know, you could say, for example, oh, she didn't eat the right vitamins, or she didn't do enough exercise. But that varies from pregnancy to pregnancy, doesn't it? There can't be a universal standard where you have to eat like 5 gummy vitamins every day. If you only eat 4, you're guilty of self-induced abortion. That would be lunacy. There's no way you can do that. The second thing, you mentioned something about being. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Okay, so what if somebody, for example, starves themselves to induce a miscarriage?
Well, they wouldn't, but what if that's how? When has that ever happened in the history of this?
It can happen. It's happened. People can starve themselves to induce a miscarriage, and if you believe an induced miscarriage is the same as an induced abortion, which I personally I think I agree with you on that, then where is the line? Are you going to punish her for having starved herself to make sure that she miscarries on purpose?
Well, first of all, you'd have to establish whether the woman was starving herself to get rid of the baby or starving herself because she was anorexic. You would also there are also medical procedures available whereby you could force feed. I mean, I know it's unpleasant, but you could do that if you wanted to. You'd also have to establish motive, because obviously there's in media mens rea, that's the phrase I'm looking for. Mens rea, whereas what is the motive for starving herself? So you then have to prove that she wants to risk she wants to risk an unnatural body weight because she's desperate to get rid of the baby. But that's completely unrealistic. It's preposterous. If that was a TV script, you wouldn't buy the story. That's not what we're talking.
Even if she was anorexic, right? Even if she was anorexic and she were starving herself because she's anorexic and not because she's pregnant, and a pregnancy miscarried as a result of that, I would think that would still give enough people, reason to prosecute. It doesn't matter. At that point, you've still induced an abortion. You've still induced a miscarriage.
No, because the miscarriage is the unfortunate, unintended side effect of a psychological.
Well, she should have been more
disorder.
careful then. She shouldn't have been starving herself then, right?
But she's mentally ill. If you're anorexic,
I mean, we
ill,
still punish people. We still punish people for child abuse, even if they're mentally ill, right?
Do we not mitigate again? Do we not count the mental illness as a mitigating factor?
We count it, but people still have their children taken away.
Well, yeah, obviously, because they're physically abused. If you're schizophrenic and you beat your own child, you don't get to raise that child unless you can prove, under medical supervision or psychological supervision, that you have cured, you're managing your condition. I speak with some authority on this because I suffer from mental health issues. I have a history of depression. I was medicated for 2 years. Yes, mental illness affects your temperament and your behavior, but if you're still acting within society, so unless you're so you're mentally ill that you have to be sectioned, like in the UK we have what was called Mental Health Act. Your section means you're sectioned on the Mental Health Act. You have to go to an asylum or whatever they call those hospitals now. You're still responsible for maintaining yourself. So like, okay, I have a history of depression. I know I have a history of depression. I need to seek treatment for depression. If it's available, of course, that's a different discussion. If I don't maintain my treatment, that falls on me. I can't say, well, I got miserable and angry, so I killed this guy. It's like, well, no, you don't get away with murder because you have a history of depression. You know you do, and you chose to neglect yourself. So you're still responsible, even if you're bonkers. So yeah, you take children away from abusive people because, of course, you do. Why they do the abuse is almost. Well, it's not beside the point, but it's a secondary issue. The problem is that if they are physically abusive, you separate the link between parent and child. So yeah, of course.
And if they're neglectful too, right? If they're neglectful as a result of a mental illness, then yeah. And so an example I would bring to you in that case is that there are people, let's say a woman is pregnant, but she's addicted to drugs. Addiction is a mental illness. If she induces a miscarriage because she's taking drugs, or she is actively taking drugs, she's still guilty of manslaughter. She may not be guilty of murder with the intent to murder, but she is still guilty of manslaughter. So are we going to prosecute her?
Well, no, but the trouble is that, yes, okay, she is guilty of manslaughter. I mean, but again, she's not taking heroin to induce an abortion. because that's ridiculous. I mean, I know there are.
But it doesn't matter. We still prosecute for manslaughter, right?
Depends on the circumstances, and it also depends on the punishment. See, yes, I would agree that the woman is guilty of manslaughter because a baby has died because of her drug addiction. But as again, members of my family are addicted to heroin, have been for like decades now. I used to say he was dying of it, but to be quite honest, he's been around for 25 years with this addiction. So the definition of dying may vary. That's my second. I won't go into too many personal details. He hasn't agreed to anything, but so yeah, she's. If you're talking about a junkie, someone who needs a fix, someone who can't function without a fix, you know, like physically their organs don't work or their mind doesn't work, and it compels them to do things. That's not just a mental illness, that's also a physical dependency. If in the course of, you know, smoking your crack or injecting your heroin or whatever, you find out you're pregnant and you then miscarried, you could then argue, yes, that's manslaughter. But what should the punishment be? I mean, one of the big problems, again, with the United States and also to the UK, let's be honest, is that we send junkies to jail, which is the worst place for them. They need to go to rehabilitation centres. So yes, the baby has died, but what's the point of sending a woman to prison for however long manslaughter is in your particular part of the world? That doesn't fix anything, because the main problem isn't the fact that she had the abortion, which was unintentional. The main problem is she's a junkie, so you've got to fix that. If there were if she wasn't a junkie, the baby might have lived. So you fix that problem first, and then everything else knocks on from there.
Right. So then what's the point of even putting somebody who did purposely induce an abortion into jail? What's the point of that then? Because it's not like putting them in jail is going to make that child be alive. It's not like putting them in jail is going to prevent future abortions.
Okay, well, if somebody killed you, should we put your murderer in prison? I mean, putting your murderer in prison won't bring you back from the dead. It won't necessarily prevent murders from happening. And
if somebody's drunk driving and they kill me by accident, right? They're still guilty of manslaughter and they still go to jail.
Yeah, but they chose to drink alcohol. They chose to go behind the wheel of the
They
car.
didn't choose their addiction.
What makes you think they're addicted?
If let's say they're an alcoholic, they have an alcohol problem, right? If they have an alcohol problem, if they have an addiction and they can't function in their daily life without drinking, and they end up drinking and driving, and then they end up killing me by accident, we would still put that person in jail. Just like if a woman were addicted to drugs and she knows that she's pregnant and she takes drugs and induces a miscarriage as a result of that, I feel like we would have still precedent to put her in jail.
True, there is an argument there, but also an alcoholic might need to drink, but they don't need to drive. So you know the reason you don't drink and drive, we all know this, is a 1-ton death machine, and you're not allowed, and you drive at high speeds.
Right, but the woman didn't need to get pregnant either. She may need to get her fix of drugs, but she could have had protected sex and not gotten pregnant.
Agreed.
So it's the same thing, right?
Similar, yes. It's a different scenario though. It's slightly different, but yeah, there are parallels, definitely.
That might be a good opportunity to go into Q&A if you guys are ready for it.
Sure.
You got it. Want to let you know, folks, our guests are linked in the description. So if you'd like to learn more about their views, you certainly can if you click on the links below in the description box. And I've got to tell you, folks, if you have been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears and you didn't know, Kendon has a wildly successful TikTok account. You can check that link out in the description box. And I got to tell you, I got to give props to Stardust as well. Stardust is, in addition to being Twitch's favorite daughter, she hosts some controversial stuff. So if you like controversial debates, I've got to hand it to you, Stardust. You've hosted some controversial stuff. You've stepped on some toes, not on purpose, but, you know, sometimes...
Always by accident.
That's right.
Always by accident.
But I got to say, I have found it to be refreshing that you said, I don't care, I'm doing it. I've really enjoyed it. Your channel has been fun to see your channel grow. So...
May I ask, sorry for interrupting, James, may I ask what's the most controversial debate you've ever had, Stardust? In all seriousness, it's genuine curiosity.
So usually the more controversial ones that I have are the ones that I host for other people. I host like a weekly debate panel, and sometimes some really controversial things will happen, or there's like infighting and drama that will break out during panels, things like that. So yeah, but I think most recently I interviewed Richard Spencer like a few months ago, and so now everybody's really mad at me for that one on Twitter. So
I would love to have a conversation with Richard Spencer. I really would. I mean, I don't agree with. Well, I'm not sure I'd agree with any of his politics, but I would love to have a conversation with him. It'd be fascinating. Not that this conversation has been very enjoyable, actually, Stardust. I do appreciate you for popping in last minute to talk to me. Sorry, James, you wanted to do a Q&A, didn't you? I just suddenly realised we just
No problem at all. Hey, we'll jump right into these. Thanks for your questions, folks. We're going to try to move through as fast as possible. If you have a question, you can submit it two ways. One, if you tag me with @Modern Day Debate in the YouTube live chat or Twitch live chat. Or if you do a super chat, put those at the top of the list. Here we go. Sky Lounge says, does science claim that all life begins at conception? They said all cells are already born alive by division from its parent cell. Life began only in the first time on Earth. I'm not sure if they're trying to say like that this human cells or like there's no like actual new life in the fetus. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Taking the stage on karaoke night takes confidence, but it's hard to feel confident when you apply for a credit card. With Karma Confidence technology, you can be more confident in your chance of approval for a great credit card before you even apply. Create your own karma with Credit Karma.
The trouble is that I understand the nature of the question because life is one of the biggest mysteries of science. We don't understand what life is. We don't know the difference between life and inert chemicals reacting to each other. We don't really know what death is. When does death occur? You know, some organisms break down, but parts of the organism are still alive. So, yeah, it is one of the big mysteries of science. Like they say that human life begins at conception because obviously that's when the creation of the human being begins. But the questioner is right in the sense that we don't actually know what life is really to know quite scientifically when it starts. So a human life, we like to say, begins at conception, but again, it's a philosophical minefield. So yeah.
You got it. And this one coming in from, do appreciate your question as well. Bradley Troska says, Kendon, when it comes to in vitro fertilization, they use many embryos, but only select one that is viable. The rest get destroyed. Is that now murder?
Well, I mean, yes, it was definitely you're killing unborn children. There's also something in the problem with that, of course, is that it takes away. It's a level of interference that I find cold, calculating, scientific. It's almost as callous as factory farming. You know, you pick the best animal and go with that one. So yes, I mean murder. Well, no, it's not. It's not murder in the sense that because it's still legal to do. Remember, murder by definition is unlawful killing. So if it's on the statute books that you can do that, then it's not murder. It's still wrong. It's still immoral, but it's not murder. So no, that would be my answer.
Could I ask a question?
Go on.
Yeah. So let's say you have like a burning building, and you have like 6 test tubes with like the fertilized eggs in them, right? And then you have a single baby, right? And you can only choose one of them to save. Which one would you choose? Well,
you do the load of test tubes or the baby that's living. Well, I mean, the instinctive response obviously would be to save the individual baby, but just because that's my instinctive response doesn't mean it's right.
But I guess, but if you had the ability to choose, you would choose the test tubes then.
Well, I mean, the thing is that because you do, that's an old philosophical conundrum, isn't it? The idea: do you save the living baby or do you save potential lives in the test tubes? There is a rational argument which says, well, actually, you could try and save all of them, or you could save the test tubes and then raise those babies to replace the one that died. But let's face it, human beings don't do that. We hear the crying child. We respond with a kind of visceral, primitive animal instinct to the child that's making noise, don't we? We wouldn't go for the test tubes. But then again, that's, so yeah, I probably would save the one child. Doesn't make that a right one. I don't know. I mean, that's a complicated one. I don't think there is a final answer to that question.
This one coming in from Bradley Troska says, Kendon, can a pregnant woman with cancer get chemotherapy? This could kill the fetus. Your arguments sound very hypocritical.
No, no, because if you think about it, in that scenario, it's one corpse or two. If denying a woman cancer treatment would kill the mother, the baby would die as well. Second of all, because obviously pregnancy drains the mother, physically. It's a physical burden. So if you've got cancer, the last thing you want is a drain on your nutrients because you don't know your nutrient supply because you don't have a lot of that left. So yes, if going for cancer treatment leads to the miscarriage of the baby, that's an unfortunate side effect of a woman. A woman is choosing to save her life. She isn't choosing to kill a baby. The death of the baby is the unintended side effect of the medical procedure. Again, this is one of those big examples that comes up in, I think there's an Irish case about with this sort of thing. To me, it's not that complicated at all. And if you speak to most pro-lifers, Kay Fellows, who isn't here, is a fine example of this. In that scenario, cancer treatment is a medical necessity, so that must come first. The element of choice is not part of it.
Well, she already made a choice, though. She shouldn't have gotten pregnant, right?
Yeah, but she didn't choose to have cancer, did she?
Yeah, but it's the same thing with an addict, right? The addict didn't choose to be an addict, but they did choose to carry a baby or drink, or drive a car, right? So.
Yeah, but addictions, that there are certain behaviours that can become addictive. Cancer can sprout out of nowhere.
Yes.
Again,
sure, but addiction is still something that's like a mental health thing. It's not like you can really help it, right? So you still have to get a fix no matter what. Cancer is something you can't help it. You have to either get the treatment or choose to die, right? So you don't have to choose to get pregnant. She didn't have to choose to get pregnant. She could have chosen to not get pregnant.
Your analogy doesn't work. A junkie can go without a fix. Going without a fix.
Not always. They can die if they don't get a fix. Some of them can die. In rehab centers, they often have to wean them off because they'll die if they don't get a fix.
Well, it depends on the scenario. But again, choosing to indulge in behaviours that lead to addiction is one thing. Developing cancer randomly is not the same scenario.
Right, but then let's say they developed lung cancer and they had a history of smoking in the past. Then they should have chosen not to smoke, right? And choosing to not get pregnant.
Yeah. So it's a mess. I admit it's a mess. I'm not arguing that point. But you don't solve anything by letting people die. So if someone's got lung cancer, say a woman has been smoking 20 a day for her whole life, and she suddenly develops lung cancer. But
you just said we don't solve anything by letting people choose abortion either, right? We don't solve these issues by letting them be able to get abortions, whether it's because of a health reason or because of a greater societal reason. Right? It's not like you were born, if you can choose the society you were born into, it's not like you can choose being born into a horrible economic situation.
Right, but you fix that, don't you? Or at least try to. Or mitigate against.
You can't always, right? You don't get to choose the life that you're born into. If you're born into a life where you are addicted, you are born with less wealth than your peers. You were born in and you live in an area that has bad health outcomes, then you didn't choose that, right? But you did choose to get pregnant. And so I guess by that you're saying that, well, they shouldn't be able to get abortions because that's not solving the issue. But getting an abortion isn't solving the issue of cancer either, right? Getting an abortion isn't solving the issue of them being addicted to drugs either, is it?
Well, no, but getting an abortion is not part of cancer treatment or addiction recovery. It's a miscarriage. A miscarriage is what we're actually talking about. A natural abortion, a natural miscarriage is the byproduct of the treatment. But it wouldn't
be natural. It wouldn't be natural because you have the choice to either get that treatment or carry that child to term. So we know it's not natural. You're inducing a miscarriage. Whether that's part of the treatment or not, you're still inducing a miscarriage. You know what it's going to induce.
Yeah, I suppose. But then you can't carry the baby to term because you'll be dead. So the choice becomes: is it one corpse or two? And
if you're that far, I'm thinking that probably chemotherapy alone would not be the thing that's going to save you, right? If you're that far along that you would be
I don't understand.
That, yeah, basically you could choose to carry the child, right? Or you could choose to get the chemotherapy. And
Well, no,
that we know,
but if
but
you
the
don't-
key,
but if
but
you don't get-
still making the choice to get chemotherapy might be the treatment, but you are still making the choice to also induce a miscarriage.
No, you're choosing to deal with the cancer. The miscarriage is the unintended side effect of that. The two options are not.
It's not an
choose
unintended one
cancer.
if you know it's real, if you know it's happening. It's not unintended if you know that it's a side effect.
Well, you've got, sometimes you've got to choose the least worst option. But the argument you're making is that, well, okay, they don't go for cancer treatment, they bring the baby to term. But then, of course, if they don't have cancer treatment, they can't bring the baby to term because they're dead. So the choice then becomes, do I try my luck and try and give birth to this child and risk, the tumors eating me from the inside out? Or do I take the cancer treatment knowing full well that I will miscarry, but at least I'll be alive to learn from that experience and hopefully make better choices in the future? See, there's no scenario there that's good. There's no good scenario. There's no right choice. There's no.
I just wouldn't call it unintended though. Maybe you could call it unexpected. I would even then I wouldn't even call it unexpected because it's something you can know. You know with enough certainty that if you get chemotherapy, you're going to miscarry. So it's not unintended.
Well, it's indirect. You're not saying, you know what, I can't be bothered anymore, get rid of this baby. What you're actually doing is, I've got tumours, they need to be dealt with. That's the most pressing issue. That's what you're actually choosing to do. You're not choosing to kill the baby. You're choosing.
You are choosing to kill the baby. You're choosing to kill the baby by focusing on something else. You're neglecting it, basically. You're killing by neglect.
Indirect.
It's not indirect. You know that the cancer is going to be directly murdered. Like not the cancer, the chemotherapy is going to directly induce a miscarriage. It's not indirect.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But the trouble is that but in that scenario, there is no good outcome. There's no good outcome
in any of these scenarios, right?
Oh no, but there are other options that you can go for. In the cancer scenario, you've got either way the baby dies. It's either I take my chemotherapy, the baby dies, or
let's say for example, an abusive household, a lot of the times, like if somebody gets beat up enough, like they'll miscarry, right? Or they can have an abortion prior to getting beaten up and miscarrying, right?
Or if the person who beats them up induces a miscarriage, I'd prosecute the assailant.
Yeah, that would be ideal, right? But again, you're choosing, like you're not really making a choice to not kill a child in that sense, then, right? You know that you're putting your child at risk either way, right? You're making the choice to put them into risk.
The mother isn't making the choice. The assailant.
The mother can choose to not be with him. The mother can choose to. The mother didn't have to choose to be with him in the first place.
Yeah, that's possible, but no one chooses. No one can expect the man to suddenly become aggressive and violent and start beating the crap out of her. And if a man, the kind of man.
What's up, bro? My fault, man. I've been getting caught up in this game and shit.
I don't buy this.
What's going on?
Scenarios are preposterous. You do realize that?
No,
It's like
it happens. It happens all the time where people.
My fault, MAGA the gangster and Paragon. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. If y'all can, please hit that follow. And where y'all from, by the way? What states are y'all from? And MAGA the gangster, I already can see what you lean towards. You said MAGA 2024. Hell yeah, bro! You already know what's up. If y'all can, please hit that follow.
My contention is purely I don't want people choosing to kill their unborn children.
Right, but then my point is that pro-choice or pro-life, we're not taking.
What state are y'all from, though, by the way?
Inducing miscarriages or doing back alley abortions. We're not changing that fact. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, whether you have legislation that prevents or prohibits, prohibits or allows for it, we're still going to have people who go out and seek those solutions, and so it's not really a solution either way if you prohibit it.
but we might well be reducing the number of abortions, which might be the best outcome. And frankly, that might have to be the best scenario.
If 11% of back alley abortions result in the death of the mother, then we're increasing the deaths.
Yeah, but how many back alley abortions?
Instead of however many it would be, that 10%, instead of one life for each one of those, it would be 2.
That's not the question. How many back alley abortions? 11% of what?
I don't know what it would be.
Precisely. I'm not having to go at you, Stardust, at all. This is not personal attack. Those kind of arguments, they don't hold water. 11% of what? You need the fight.
But the back alley abortions would happen. Yes, it reduces the amount of abortions, but they're still like only by a small percentage. I believe it's
yeah, but don't you see
this back alley abortions almost entirely replace front room abortions. So the state is almost total replacement.
No, you see, that's
according to this Amnesty International. It says that when abortion is banned, back alley abortions essentially replace all of those safe abortions.
Yeah, but in which countries, in which cultures, at which times? You see, that's too vague. See, 11% of 1 million and 11% of 1,000 are two different numbers, of course. So the idea that you can't just use the percentage on its own; it has to be a percentage of something. And that's why I'm not saying, look, if you had more numbers on it, if you had more data on it, then, obviously I would consider it. But 11% of nothing is nothing. You need a whole.
Sure. 11%, I would say, is a significant portion. When we know, according to this Amnesty International thing, if according to that, it says laws that totally ban abortion do not, in fact, decrease abortion rates. Rather, they drive women and girls to seek unsafe, clandestine abortions. So it almost completely replaces those safe abortions.
Because there's a question for Kendon, I'll give you the last word, Kendon, and then I've got a question for you, Stardust.
Go on then. Sure.
This one coming in from Aaron Webster says, so because they might have a hard life, we should kill them, Stardust? No, we shouldn't.
They're going to get that's not the point, right? My ideal world, abortion would be the last option that somebody chooses, the very last thing that somebody considers, right? But we know, again, based on what I'm reading here, abortion, when it is banned, almost completely is replaced by unsafe back alley abortions, right? It's not that abortion goes down. Abortion still exists, and abortion is now unsafe. And if 11% of those abortions are result in the death of a mother, we've resulted in more deaths. So
this one coming in from, do appreciate your question as well. Stephen Steen, actually, a statement says, this channel doesn't represent those who actually are killed by abortion. Why are there no fetuses on the panel? Debate is worthless without proper representation.
Fair. Very fair.
Malivia, thanks very much, says, James, if I email you... That's funny. Okay. That's it for later. First name, last name says, we all knew you... Let's see. So first name, last name says, Kendon, should we separate any logical choice from you? I don't get it. Brenton Langle says, pro-life's real political goal is state-enforced pregnancy. They want to enforce an unwilling woman to remain pregnant at gunpoint. Using state violence for this purpose is depraved and unconscionable.
The state compels lots of people to do lots of things they don't want to do. Why should this issue be the only one where it's questioned? The way the question was framed is too dramatic for what we're actually talking about. The state compels you to pay tax. People don't want to do that. The state compels you to wear a seatbelt. People don't want to do that. But when they call it state violence, if you don't do these things, we'll punish you for not doing these things. This idea that this is the one issue where state violence, which is always a bit of a wobbly phrase anyway. When I think of state violence, I think of the military. I think of armed policemen. That's when I think of state violence. I think that's far too melodramatic, far too hyperbolic. yes, we are effectively enforcing women to be pregnant, unless, of course, it's medically necessary to terminate the pregnancy. What we're doing is removing the element of choice, whereby a woman cannot choose to kill a perfectly viable child for whatever reason, and then the burden falls on the rest of society to come up with a solution for the increased number of births. It is ultimately the most, it enforces us as a culture to be more charitable.
Do you know the sneaky zip code solar trick to get solar panels from the U.S. government for no cost? And go solar.
Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, I just got finished with my 3-hour radio show. You can find it on my website, theofficertatum.com. My Salem radio show, syndicated all around the world. And now I want to speak about this this new surveillance video that have been released. It's being reported that this is a surveillance video from the Uvalde school. And this is a picture of the police officers in the hallway. Now, I want to talk about this for a minute. What do I know? What do I do not know? What do you know? What should you know? Is that I'm assuming that this is correct. I'm assuming that this particular timestamp is accurate. Is it possible that it's inaccurate? Yes. I'm assuming that it's accurate, and I'm assuming that this is an actual still shot photo of the hallway. I'm assuming. Could this be off? I don't know. But let's talk about this for a quick minute, because I do not like when things are taken out of context within a certain sphere and then a narrative is pushed. I want to see the video of this whole scenario, and then I think it'll make more sense. People are saying they're heavily armed, they got the proper guns, and they have a shield. Now, you can see this here appears to be a shield. Now, for people that understand ballistics, this could be a rifle shield or a handgun shield. Let me give you both scenarios. If this is a handgun shield, this shield is virtually, it means nothing. Like, it might as well not be here. He might as well put this over here in the corner, because if this is a handgun shield, it's not going to protect anybody. Them bullets going to go straight through there. If this is in fact a rifle shield, and this is in fact the proper timing here, then there is no reason that they couldn't advance. Well, if they didn't have a key, but given the fact that they had a key, entry tools, there's no reason they couldn't advance on this door if this is a rifle shield. Because Bortak ended up breaching with the rifle shield, multiple shields, and they killed the suspect. So people are jumping to conclusions about ballistic shields and all this, but I want to know, is this a rifle shield or a handgun shield? Is this timestamp correct or is it not correct? Play the video from 11 minutes and 14 seconds. I want you to play it all the way through till 12:50 when he was killed. I want to see exactly what happened in the hallway. This picture really does not explain much. We know that the first reports is that the officer, the chief in Uvalde, when they first approached the hallway, they were met with gunfire, and, you know, based on what they said, they were outpowered. But they got reinforcements. So at 11:52, which is 19 minutes after the shooter supposedly got into the school, they had backup and reinforcements. So it makes sense that new people will show up with rifles and engage. Now, I want to see the full video, and then I can give a better, more thorough commentary. But for the time being right now, this really doesn't do anything but add fuel to the fire if there's no context behind this. And, you know, it's just the attack on law enforcement officers is just never ending, man. It's never ending. Like, there was so much nuance that went into this situation, and I really wish that they can give and provide everything we need to make a fair judgment. If you watch this video and they're just like this for an hour and a half and didn't do nothing like this, now we do know that the shooting didn't continue, but regardless of that, if this was an hour and a half and they sat here while shooting is going on, then of course they made the wrong decision. They made the wrong decision. There is no way around it saying that they sat here while shooting is going on, which we don't have any reports that the shooting was continual after 11:40, 48 or whatever. But if shooting is going on and they're sitting here and they have rifles and a ballistic shield, there is no reason they did not advance. Now, here is the reason why I say the things that I say. I know a person who was there, who was in this hallway. And I believe that person don't have a reason to just make up stuff because, you know, it's no point. He wasn't with Uvalde, so throwing them under the bus ain't that hard to do. He don't owe these guys no loyalty. If this is even Uvalde PD, I don't even know if this is Uvalde or not. But if this is Uvalde PD, he don't have any reason to not throw them under the bus. Now, he told me that there was no shields at the scene and that Bortak didn't even have a shield, and that that the U.S. Marshals had to bring Bortak shields so they can make entry. So there was no shields at the scene. Bortak didn't even have a shield. Now, what he said could have been accurate if this is a handgun shield. This is what people need to understand. If this is a handgun shield, this might as well not be here. If this is a rifle shield, there is no reason whatsoever that they could not advance with a rifle shield. There's no reason. If this is a rifle shield, there's no reason that this would be sitting here. If this is an accurate time, this is sitting on the ground and it's not being advanced. Now, if they know that the door is locked, there's no real reason to come up here and beat on a door that you can't get open. But if they have a key, this is a rifle shield, you have no choice but to make entry. You have to. Even if this was a barricade.
A very strange day is coming to America. In short, a massive and surprising new transition could soon determine the next group of millionaires while leaving 99% of the public even worse off than before. Go ahead and ignore me, skip this ad, but I can promise you what's coming next to America could change everything you know about making money. If you own regular stocks, you're in for a big surprise. I spent 50 years on Wall Street, where I helped create the entire stock rating system. I've met everyone from Jim Cramer to Martha Stewart.
Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, you would have to be sure that he's the only one in there. There's no indication that he's the only one in there. In no point in this scenario. So, rifle shield, if this was a rifle shield, we don't know. And you got guys here. You press the door. Hopefully you have a key or something that you make entry into the door, you kill the guy. That's it. There is no excuse whatsoever if this is a rifle shield. They have the availability through a key or another mechanism to get in that room if they're just standing here. Now, let me reiterate this for the people in the back. If we don't know what's happening, this is a still shot. We don't know if this guy and this guy got together and and tried to make their way up here and was shot at. We don't know if the guy is actively shooting right now, because there were reports that he was shooting through the walls and the door and the glass door. We don't know if that's the case. According to guys that the initial reports is that they didn't get a good angle on the door. So when they were getting shot at, they couldn't get a good angle. Now, just looking at this, and this is only for the people that want to think, because we don't have the actual video, so you have to process this in your mind. This doesn't look normal to me. Like as a former SWAT guy, this don't look right. This doesn't look like a normal setup, right? I mean, there's no way, unless these guys have no tactical experience, there is no way that this guy is, and we can't see who else is back here, but there's no way that this guy is standing here with a shield like this. There's no way, unless he's kneeling and we can't tell. But if you're standing and the shield is just sitting up against the door, that shield is virtually
Hey, y'all remember the Underwear Man? I ran into him.
Hey, bro.
It's up to you, bro. You want me to address it? I'll address it.
Can I clock him on?
Okay, so if you want to... Hey.
It's up to you, bro. You want me to address it? Hey, bro. It's up to you, bro. You want me to address it? I'll address it. Can I clock him on? Okay, so if you want to... Hey, we're going to look this way. Do what you got to do. If you want to go down there... So, they're going to do shit. They want to do it. Oh, damn. Well, there you go. Damn. You can walk away now. Or you'll get trespassed from the airport, you'll get your flight. Which one you want? I know you ain't going to touch it. But if you do, I'm going to knock you on your ass. Oh, you did it at Delta. Oh, so you have to want it, right? Delta. You want it? Why y'all got to jump it? You pick your bag up, you can go back to Delta. You take account of what you like. I'll for sure handle it. I'll for sure handle it. No. You got the time to walk away. Do you want to walk away or you want to handle it right now? Which one do you want to do? No, you could go. We'll tell you to walk away or you want to get transparent right now? Because we're telling you to go away and you're still standing there. You touched the gentleman and he didn't actually touch you. So we told you, and he doesn't want to do anything right now, so walk away, you're still here.
Jackass.
When people like yourself have taken to the street, not for a day, as righteous as that is, but coming back again and again and again, putting it on the line, because the future is in our hands. So I want to welcome up Zoe. She's a student organizer with Rise Up. We are all out here today because we are furious. Let me hear it. Oh, we can be something better than that. Are you serious? The Supreme Court has just ripped away our most fundamental rights as human beings, not just as women, but as human beings. And we are furious. Let me hear you again. Are you furious? I am furious because I am a 19-year-old girl. I am a 19-year-old woman. And if I get raped or sexually assaulted, maybe I won't have the right to an abortion. The Supreme Court is telling me that it is my responsibility.
Right, because we have fucking rights. We have rights. No, you don't. There is separation of church and state. Okay? Who gives a shit?
No more Roe.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
No more Roe.
We're arguing with
Want
right
to
now.
kill babies.
It's so true. It's so true. We love to see it. We love to see it.
So you're gonna take care of all the fucking babies that are being born by forced birth?
Yeah, get married and have kids with your husband. Don't have sex.
You married?
That's always you are straight marriage. Okay?
You would love to talk to me. Yeah, listen, you know what? I don't want to get anything from this.
Guys, get married and then have sex.
Show me.
Fuck you.
Unlike you, buddy. Hey, guys. Probably just got some love. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. You guys with Nick Wednesday? No more.
That said, the Supreme Court just took away Roe versus Wade. Send $15 to the DNC right now. My rights, my fundamental human rights, are not your campaigning tactics. My human rights are not your campaigning tactics. But you know what? When the primaries come around, I'm going to vote blue anyway. And you want to know why? Because I have no other fucking choice. I have no other fucking choice, and as much as I wish I did, I This is a man's issue. This was a man's issue. This would have been solved so many years ago. I am tired. I am tired of living.
What's up, music? Appreciate you for stopping by, bro. Thank you for stopping by, man. How's your day going? People should be protesting. I mean, shit is crazy, bro. Shit is pretty crazy, bro. But how have you been doing? How's your day been going? Shit is crazy, though, bro. A lot going on. How do you feel about the whole situation? And fuck the 5 Supreme Court justices. You should have came on the panel last night, bro. Who was actually talking about it?
You want this. Happy, engaged employees.
They must be 200 years old now.
That individual is the only one who can make that.
What the fuck is this? You see, what is your perspective on this case? If I may ask, it's cool to see everyone's thoughts on this. So I got mixed opinions, bro. Bro, what the fuck is going on with this video? So yeah, I got mixed opinions about this. I say it's I guess like a good thing that like the states have more control of it, but like I feel like abortion should be a protected thing also. Should you know, because it's like, what if, you know, people vote to do something fucking crazy, and then it's like also we've already been having abortion, you know, like they already made it a legal thing. So like to take it away, for some states to be able to take it away now, it's like you can't just stop like a cultural thing that's been going on. Like what are people gonna do? Like people aren't just gonna just freeze in time and just stop. You know, like now people, you know, like I've been making a joke, you know, saying that there's gonna be a shortage of hangers, and that's just saying because like, you know, like it's gonna open up more of a black market, you know, because like. You know, it's going to lead people to doing stuff that they otherwise wouldn't be doing, you know, if it was legal. And if they did have access to it. And I might ask about your bottom stream bar, please, free Trump. Or free Trump. It's more of like a troll thing. I am more conservative, to be honest. You know, when people ask on my political stance, I am. It says that on your stream at the wrong. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I know. You know, when people ask me about my political stance, you know, I am. I guess you could say like center right. But if I did have the choice, I would vote for DeSantis. You know. Because he's been doing great things for Florida, you know. But I just see Trump as like I don't know. He just a meme, you know. That will always be always be realized in time, I guess. He was just a character, you know. Alrighty, guys, let's find the video. He said free Trump to be in prison. I think he would. Have you been watching the have you been watching those videos? The goddamn, whenever there was cause they recently been going like the court about this and whatnot. Like they've been streaming it on PBS. I forgot what it's called exactly. But have you been keeping up with it? I think he would be look really attractive behind prison bars. Nah, bro, I think that's too extreme. Because see, all right. So say music. So even like yesterday, you know, like after the protest or whatever, there was this lady, like I should have clipped it actually. She was talking about like burn the streets down, like, you know, if we don't get this, we're gonna burn the streets down and all this other shit, right? That's literally word for word inciting violence, right? But they want to put Trump in prison for the same thing. And it's like, I don't even agree with everything that dude says. I'm not like a Trump fanboy or anything, but it's like, why are they trying to put that dude in prison for, I guess, like talking shit, just like other people always talk shit, you know? Because that's just the way I see it, is he was just talking shit.
How do you not have blinds? I love select blinds.
John, you gotta get in here.
Legal precedent and years of Supreme Court justice nominees stating on the record that Roe is settled law, this activist Supreme Court has issued a decision overturning Roe v. Wade. This is a radical, dangerous opinion that will harm women and people who become pregnant. It also puts in jeopardy other constitutional protections like the right to privacy, same-sex marriage, and access to contraception.
Music, is the sound quality good though?
Can
you hear everything all right? And to everybody up in the chat, if y'all could, please hit that follow. Please hit that follow. If you're on YouTube, if you're anywhere, please hit subscribe. You know,
and legal
I would greatly appreciate it. And also, please join the Discord.
Will impact millions of Americans. It will disproportionately impact people of color, LGBTQ individuals, and those with limited incomes. I know my fellow Washingtonians are outraged by this decision and fearful of what a post-Roe world looks like. Washington voters have continually reaffirmed their support for choice by passing an initiative in 1991 protecting this right. And since then, Democratic lawmakers have consistently strengthened those reproductive freedoms in our state. In Washington, safe abortion will remain legal. And we welcome those coming to our state to seek access to their reproductive freedom. In the coming weeks, my colleagues and I will be working to plan our legislative strategy so we can strengthen reproductive health care in Washington and protect access to safe and legal abortion, including added protections for medical providers, shielding them and patients from other states' penalties for abortion, increasing patient privacy protections, enshrining the right to abortion in our Constitution, and increasing reproductive health care access across our state. Because you can't access reproductive health care if you don't have it. My colleagues and I are committed to protecting the right to choose for all. And we need you, each and every single one of you that's impacted by this decision, to remain vigilant, to organize, and to let your voices be heard, both here and in our nation's capital. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce my fellow reproductive health care champion, Senator Dhingra.
My name's Manka Dhingra, State Senator from the 45th Legislative District and Chair of our Law and Justice Committee. It is absolutely surreal for me to stand here today in the year 2022 and talk about the ramifications of Roe being overturned not as an academic discussion, but as reality. The fact is that my daughter has fewer rights in this country than my mother had. But in Washington, abortion, reproductive health care, gender-affirming care are legal and available. However, these rights have to be fought for and protected year after year. While we have the laws on the books, our laws are only as good as the access they create. They're only good if we have providers who can deliver these services. Washington has to ensure that all Washingtonians, regardless of where they live, can access comprehensive reproductive health care without needing to drive for hours. Washington has to ensure that all hospitals, regardless of whether or not they are faith-based, provide timely and necessary medical treatment to all. We will be working on this issue so it is ready for next session. It is critical for our state to ensure that those seeking medical services are protected from civil and criminal prosecution, and that those providing these much-needed services are also protected from civil and criminal liability. We need doctors who are trained on how to perform abortions. We need doctors who can go to work without being harassed or threatened. And we need to ensure that there are comprehensive health clinics that are easily accessible to all those who need them. We need data privacy protection for medical records, as well as for electronic surveillance of individuals. We updated our cyber stalking and cyber harassment statutes last session, and we'll be looking at doxing for how to protect individuals from the public release of their personal information. So while abortion, reproductive health care, gender-affirming care are all needs to be done to ensure that they're accessible to everyone in Washington, and all those individuals who need to leave their home states to access medical care, because that is the world we live in now, that our state has to be a sanctuary state for other Americans who simply need to access medical care. And this is a decision that needs to empower every single person to make sure that they're going out, registering to vote, and making sure they are voting for individuals who are reproductive health champions. Because otherwise, all our rights are under attack. And now it is my privilege to introduce one such champion who has been working on this issue prior to being a senator for our great state. Someone who is the majority whip of the Washington State Senate, Senator Emily Randall.
Hello. My name is Emily Randall, and I'm the senator for the 26th district. I'm also a daughter, a sister, an auntie, a queer Chicana woman, and a former Planned Parenthood fundraiser. I'm here today in this place, but also in office in the first place, because we knew this day would come. This war on abortion access and our reproductive rights to keep us from planning our families when and how it is right for us has long been waging. Right-wing extremists have been vying for power and control over our bodies. But we will not let them win. Women and LGBTQ folks, people of color and allies have long been fighting back, resisting and reclaiming our power. midwives like my great-grandmother in rural New Mexico in the 30s, activists, including many of you, who passed Washington's ballot measures to codify abortion rights in the 70s and the 90s, and the activists across the state who got out the vote to take control of the Washington State Senate in 2017. Because of you, we passed reproductive parity, requiring insurance companies that cover maternity care to also cover abortion access. Because you organized and voted, together we passed reproductive health access for all, guaranteeing access to abortion and reproductive health care regardless of gender identification or immigration status, because you organized and voted. We passed comprehensive sex ed because you organized and voted. We extended the Reproductive Parity Act to cover college student health plans because you organized and you voted. We protected pregnant patients, ensuring that folks experiencing miscarriage or ectopic pregnancy cannot be denied life-saving care at Catholic hospitals because you organized and you voted. And this year, we passed the Affirm Washington Abortion Access Act, updating our statute to be gender inclusive, strengthening our network of abortion providers, and protecting providers, helpful friends, and Lyft drivers from the type of vigilante lawsuits we're seeing in Idaho, in Texas, and across the country. And we did it because you organized and you voted. We have worked tirelessly to strengthen and protect reproductive health access and abortion access in this Washington. But just because our right to abortion is codified in state law does not mean we can stop fighting.
How many lives will be shattered between now and November? Between now and November, and let's be real. Right now, we need the restoration from the federal level of legal abortion across this country. Yeah, I know. Legal abortion across this country. I'm not talking about.
Now, abortion is still legal and available in Illinois because JB and I were prepared for this day. And when we took office, we enshrined reproductive freedoms into state law. But without a doubt, elections have consequences. So today we march, but on Tuesday and in November we vote. Because right-wing forces continue to wage a war on women, including every single Illinois Republican candidate for governor who wants to block your access to reproductive health care. So
what if this backfires and everybody just starts voting Republican because, like, they like it?
Because if you're paying attention, and I know you have been paying attention, Justice Clarence Thomas
What you mean by that?
Very clear.
Oh, he's an Uncle Tom. She's calling him out. He's a motherfucking Uncle Tom. This is what happens when you leave the fucking Democratic plantation. You get called a fucking Uncle Tom. Here we go. Here we fucking go. Every fucking time. This is why I hate you people.
Basic rights to privacy afforded to us by the U.S. Constitution.
You people. Who the fuck is this motherfucker?
Nobody's free until everybody's free. So, whatever you they try to do. Just know that Governor Pritzker and I stand with you in this fight. And know that JB and I will always trust women. And as long as we're in office, we will do everything we can to make sure Illinois remains a beacon of hope and freedom for women and for all people.
Until you get shot.
What? Thank you. Keep marching, keep protesting, keep fighting. We will do this together.
Thank you so very much. We're so glad you were able to join us today. We know you've changed your travel plans to be here with us. So, it is now my great pleasure to introduce Andy Thayer. Andy is an American socialist, LGBTQ activist.
Of course he's a commie. Of course he's a fucking communist. I mean, come on, guys. They're all fucking commies. Let's just say it. They're fucking goddamn communists.
Rude. He is also the co-founder of Chicago Coalition Against War and Racism.
There's a lot of fucking commies in Chicago.
Andy Thayer.
This dude is so fucking annoying, bro. I'm about to make my own
Thank you so much.
my own thing.
You know, when people
I'm trying to see how he made
He's
that.
a fucking
How the fuck he did
homosexual
that.
son of my communist Satanist.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Nah, fuck this. This dude is fucking retarded. He's annoying. Also. Okay, guys, let's see how to create our own thing over here. Cause that dude right there, he was okay. Let me close this game. Play the game later. Alright, guys. Let's build up our thing over here. Let's see what we want. If y'all have any links, let me know, alright? Okay. Sorry guys if y'all find this boring, but I'm trying to set this up over here.
You run a family, and there's a lot to keep track of. Bank accounts, passports.
As a direct result of racism, Black women and birthing people already face horrifically high rates of maternal mortality and morbidity in this country. Therefore, courts and legislators legislating abortion and banning abortion, the medically safest option in some cases is dangerous and cruel and will set back our nation's effort to improve maternal health. My heart breaks for my patients, for my future patients, but also for my colleagues in other states who will now be forced to not provide life-saving care, forced to follow laws that break their oaths as physicians and harm their patients. As we enter a post-Roe world, I am incredibly grateful to be in Washington State, where our governor, legislators, and people understand the importance of abortion as essential health care. But I also
can't
worry
add
about
more
what
than
the
one
future will
string.
hold. Yesterday's decision shows us that access to abortion is in no way certain
Oh, I'm
and is
tripping.
not a
I'm fucking
guarantee.
high.
We need to continue pushing in this nation and in Washington State to increase access and to
Until I'm
enshrine
high.
abortion rights into our legal system. The work Governor Inslee and the legislators in Washington are doing here today, what they are describing today, will do just that and will start this fight. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it back to Governor Inslee for questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to note we've got a lot of leaders here, including the speakers, who I really appreciate. Also, Senator Cleveland here, Senator Frock, Representative Stoinier, and I think I see Senator Sam Hunt there. He's the surfer dude in favor of choice, which we appreciate. I want to address this issue of, we've talked about the clear and present danger to the right of choice that one party in our state represents. And I wish we didn't have to think in these terms. I wish the pro-choice position was a bipartisan position that we could work across the aisle to protect. There was a time when we did that, when Ronald Reagan Republicans supported pro-choice laws in California, when Joel Pritchard, my predecessor in the 1st Congressional District, helped pass the initiative, the first in the United States, to create a pro-choice state. Those days, sadly, are gone. The Republican Party today is under the control of a radical renegade group that will stop at nothing to destroy this right. And that's why we need to get active this November. That's a fundamental situation. And when I say active, I mean active. There's a lot of angry people today. We saw them in the streets last night. This is an extremely angering event. But I do believe it is our obligation to channel that anger into action. And I can tell you, personal commitment can make a difference. I know a woman once who got active in Yakima in 1988. She decided to elect a pro-choice candidate in Yakima, Washington in 1988, and Trudy got her husband elected. And now And now I think it's a good thing we got a pro-choice governor of the state of Washington, too. I think that's a good thing. But we got to understand, I'm not going to be around forever. Let's pass a constitutional amendment to protect the women of the state of Washington. With that, we're happy to stand your questions. You can direct your questions to anyone you'd like, or the whole panel. We'll start to reporters, please. We'll start over here. I'm going to offer one idea, and I think our legislators will have more. Basically, we need to extend an obligation. The question, thank you very much. The question is, what can we do to protect data? Number one, we can make sure there will be enforcement of our existing laws, that we will have teeth in our existing laws. Number two, the obligation to protect that data needs to extend to those who have it in their databases, not just the provider. So, and three, provide investigatory mechanisms to enforce our existing laws, to our state patrol, to our local law enforcement. Any other thoughts you'd like to offer? Anyone else? Monica?
I'll just say we also have to take a look at the subpoena power that will come when other states want this info. We have to take a look at the subpoena power that we will have to take care of when other states want data and information on individuals who are accessing medical care. So there's a lot of work to be done in order to make sure we're protecting that data of care that is provided for the individuals, also taking a look at the providers who are providing that care. And we also have to take a look also of electronic surveillance. There's a lot of information that our phones have on where we are, how long we're there, and that information also needs to be protected.
One thing that does not require our action is for you to reach out to people you know in other states and tell them to delete their menstrual cycle apps on their phones.
You dogs like a squad boss, huh? Get you, bro. Hey, I'm about to get one of them right now.
Yeah. Yes. First off, I noted that I will be making the question. Thank you. The question is, are there any plans to help provide services to out-of-state residents? Yes. Starting with $1 million that I will use under my emergency authority to help providers have access to make sure those services are available. I'm sure there will be more needed, and I will be working with legislators to make those resources, financial resources, are available. We also know increase the people who have the ability to provide these services. That's why we've been very committed to increasing the nursing staff and physicians. Legislators have been great extending additional nursing capability. Let me address why this is the right thing for Washington to do for our fellow Americans. When the COVID epidemic hit, in the state of Idaho, Republican politicians refused to protect their citizens. They got a lot more COVID cases than we did on a per capita basis. We did not shun our protection. We admitted their patients to our hospitals. That was the right thing to do with our neighbors. Similarly, when Republican politicians ignore the needs of Idaho women, we're going to take care of them. That's the right thing for Washingtonians. The question was about the alliance with California and Oregon that Governors Newsom, Brown, and myself announced yesterday. We're going to do everything we can to magnify each individual state's effectiveness in this effort. We want them to know there's a wall in the West Coast protecting the women of the West Coast and the citizens that come from these other states. And so we will try to make sure our laws work in tandem effectively. We will make sure that if somebody tries to sneak around our law in one state, we advise our colleagues of a way to defeat that. And I'm glad we have this alliance on the West Coast. In Ronald Reagan, the pro-choice Republican, the last one, is protected. Questions? Anybody? Yes. Well, that's why we are going to have additional financial resources to hire more medical personnel, to achieve any of the physical things we need, any of the equipment things we need, any of the training things we need. There will be a need for additional resources, and they need to be ramped up. Planned Parenthood, other providers have been planning to do this. I'm relatively confident we will succeed in making sure these services are available.
Can you talk about the companies that have stepped up to say, hey, we're going to help pay
All the good companies have stepped up to the plate for transportation. Would anyone like to add anything else? Anything? Yes.
Just to your first question about are we ready for this influx of patients, our Planned Parenthood Federation President Alexis McGill Johnson yesterday was saying we're asking 24 states to take the patient load of 50. That's real. Unfortunately, we've been preparing. We've known this moment was coming. We've seen it coming. We have been preparing. I think it will have
What's up,
a ripple effect
Leviticus?
on the
Hell yeah,
healthcare
more
network.
processing. Looks
We're going
like
to never
all
turn
the
someone away.
normies
We are
came
going to
back
take
in
every
the
patient we
morning.
can. We're going to
It
make
was
more
funny
spots
because
in our
last night
schedules for
I
abortion
think
care. And so
one
that
of
also
them
means
out.
looking at new solutions
Yeah,
for
that's all I was saying.
family planning,
Like,
cancer
I'm like, where was y'all
screening,
last night
sexually-transmitted disease
when we
treatment
was
and
talking about
testing.
this?
Those kinds of services we'll be able to innovate with telemedicine.
Y'all could have hopped up in the
But yes,
panel.
we have a provider shortage, and we're really
Well,
grateful to hear about these investments in training and more access, especially in rural areas.
In rural areas.
Thanks, Courtney. And I'll just say that we are ready for this. We have been planning.
But yeah, I remember when you said that you was drinking last night. But yeah, there's a lot of
and it is here.
liberals and whatnot
it's
that came through this morning and was talking to me. I was like, where y'all
But
at?
I'll say we're expanding.
Look at them, oh man, yesterday Supreme Court averaged about 500,000 lives.
To perform procedural abortion, and we're increasing
How
access to
about that?
telemedication
No,
abortion.
seriously.
And
Saved a whole bunch of people.
Teleabortion for contraception and STI screening as well. So we are doing many things,
Out
and
here
we will
saving
continue.
lives, right?
We will continue to learn on how to do things more efficiently and more effectively.
I'd like to note these legislators were farsighted because they appropriated $7.5 million in the last budget to try to get ready for this anticipated wave as well. Other questions? Any other questions from the press? From the press, are there any press questions? Okay, we're just going to have press questions today. Thank you so much. Let's continue the effort on behalf of freedom and liberty in the state of Washington. Take care.
Been playing this ref game. Yeah, bro, I've actually been hearing a lot of people been playing that game. But the only reason I didn't get it was because it cost $17. I've been playing this game that just came out a few days ago. It's called Naraka Blade Point. But anyway, it's almost like PUBG, but like with ninjas and like samurais. Like, it's pretty badass.
In some way, shape, or form. White paid for buses for the January 6th insurrectionists to come to the Capitol, and he is the only judge that voted no on releasing all text messages and documents related to that day. Treason against the United States is providing aid and comfort to our enemies, and he fucking supported that.
And he fucking supported that.
Supreme Court judges are not appointed for life like we've been told. They are appointed as long as they are
That's
in good
legit.
behavior.
Yeah.
That's not good fucking behavior. They made decisions that go against our Fourth Amendment right to unlawful search and seizure. There's now a 100-mile border around this country, protecting a country built on immigration from immigration is their premise. But now they can search your car, they can search your house without probable cause. They're going after our Sixth Amendment, right to fair trial and due process by overturning wrongful convictions. Now, if evidence comes out after you've been convicted and it wasn't presented at court, and it proves your innocence, you're fucked. It doesn't matter
You're
because
fucked.
of the decision that these assholes made. They plan to overturn Roe in the name of life. Then why, the day before they made that decision, did they allow fucking open carry across the country. Open carry weapons, allowing people to carry guns without any training in a country with the most gun violence in this entire world. We need to call on our government. It is supposed to work for us. We, the people, have the power, and we have to show them that we are not. And turn it into anger, turn it into fury, turn it into power. Because together, we can do anything. We are fucking unstoppable.
That's a lot. Word of vaccine. Nah, seriously though. I'm over here trying to get this set up, bro. You got anything planned today, Leviticus?
Separate the church and state.
Ear medicine, but I don't know what that looks like. Is it deep?
I was just asking if you had anything planned today.
Pro-life is a lie. You don't care if women die. It's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-life is a lie. You don't care if women die. You don't care if women die. Pro-life is a lie.
You don't care if women die.
Okay, bro, that's always nice getting out of town and you know, getting a breath of fresh air. You know, getting out the big city and whatnot, you know. That's good though, that's good.
The noise.
Powerful, you guys. We have to fight.
For bodily autonomy, for women's rights, for reproductive rights, for human rights. Poor, hungry, sick, houseless, gay, a color, an immigrant, transgender, or mentally ill, so on. The Democratic Party holds the presidency and both houses of Congress. I am told that this means progressive change is possible.
Y de repente está escuchando. ¿Qué pasa?
And it's basically a society where women are forced to be there.
With the legality of some simple medical procedure, the fight for reproductive rights is closely tied to the struggles for trans liberation, as this war is as much on cis women as it is on trans men. It is closely tied to the struggles for marriage equality, as the same unelected Supreme Court could also
All right, what are
repeal
you
the
saying,
decision
bro?
of Obergefell v. Hodges.
Well,
It is closely tied.
what were you saying, bro? You said, and my wife just got a new badass job. Oh shit, hell yeah, he's raised back. I'm just playing rap today. Okay, okay. Hey, let's protest the decision because they will come back. The case 2 years from now, you know they're on. In case they got them cheering for trans women rights, aka a man law. No, seriously, that's fucking funny. I'm surprised they're not up there fucking protesting that they can't get pregnant and shit. Mad about that.
Decided to go against the popular vote and some electoral rules. The Supreme Court is a uniquely undemocratic institution with lifetime membership. A bipartisan movement for the removal of our rights. I encourage all of you, if you have not already, to join an organization. Be it the Communist Party USA at cpusa.org, the PSL, text 33777 to come out of the street and fight with us, PSL, or FRSO, or any of the orgs here, DSA. As workers, we will be heard.
Powerful, you guys.
Communism USA.
United!
That dude was up there just saying some random ass shit. It's like, hey, I think they're agreeing with me. No, let me just keep on talking. Yeah. That sounds believable. That's all that matters if you sound
Thanks for
believable.
joining me, you guys. My battery's gonna die. I wish you all the best. Be well. We will talk soon. Bye.
Don't tell me, bye, woman. Woman. This woman just told me bye. What's up, El Jefe? Appreciate you for stopping by, bro. Communist Party, Omegle, Cox, Godless, Denigrate, Dislike Black Lives Matter, Looters. Oh wow, bro, that's kind of extreme. El Jefe. That's kind of extreme, bro. Why would you say such a thing? Why would you say such a thing, man? I don't think that's appropriate. Actually.
So we're going to be behind me. There was some pots and people be, bringing your sound stuff to like make some fucking
There's
noise.
sound stuff. There's sound stuff. You already know about they sound stuff.
And in the spirit of that,
El Jefe, you know about they
brother over
sound
here who brought
stuff.
his whole sound system because he brought us a song.
Bad as a song.
He brought a song to share with us. So let's give some love to Rosebud Ireland. He's brought an uplifting song to share called Peace and Love. Give it up.
Let's give it up, guys. Come on, come on. Come on, El Jefe, sing along. You should know this song.
All right, everybody.
We're
What's
gonna
going
sing
on?
along together, all right?
Listen, all right. I know our hearts are kind of dark, right? It's hard times, but in these moments, okay, this is where we stick together. Okay, this is
We
where
gotta
we
stick
don't
together.
walk away or shy away from anything,
LGBTT, all that.
So I wrote this song called "Peace and Love." All right. So feel free to enjoy it because it's uplifting, and our spirits need uplifting. All right.
Peace and joy. He's an alpha male. What are you tripping on? You don't kill babies when God. He's an alpha
Clap your
male.
hands a little bit. Come on.
Alpha male. Alpha
And
male.
I say peace and love. Come on now.
Come on now.
Hold me together, yeah. And I say peace
peace. Come on now. And love. And love. There you go. Hold me together. Say, hold me together. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Oh my God, this is so cringe. This is so cringe. Oh my God, bro. How does this happen?
But I wish you well, my brothers and sisters.
How does
But
this
I wish you
happen, bro?
well, my brothers and sisters.
This is so funny, bro.
It's true what they say. It's true what they say. Life is only a breath away. Life is only a breath away. So treat everyone like it's the last day. Like
Come
it's
on.
the last day. There you go.
Like
there you
it's
go.
the last
and let
day.
go. And let go. Come on
Let
now.
go.
Of
Come
the
on.
arrows, of the
El
arrows,
Jefe,
yeah.
sing along. El Jefe.
That
Everybody
poison
sing
you.
along.
Come on now. But don't let it bleed through. Yeah.
Don't let it bleed
'Cause love
through.
is for you. Love is for you, yeah. Yeah, all right, here we go. Peace and love. And I say peace. Come on.
This is so funny, bro. Oh my God.
Here we go, second verse.
No, I thought that was the end of it. I thought that was the end of the song. No, there's more.
Just wanna be free, yeah. But don't
No.
But don't blow away my brothers and sisters.
Don't blow.
They don't want to be erased. They don't want to be erased. Yeah, they make up the thriving human race. They make up.
Look at that white dude in the background. Look at that old white dude in the background.
But they'll never see it coming. They'll never see it coming. There you go. Like the bullets that be humming. Like the bullets that be humming. Yeah. Across the way. And don't let forgiveness delay. Don't let forgiveness delay. Come on. And I say peace.
Who found this kid? Who is it, bro? He's so cringe. He's ultimate cringe, bro.
I said, hold me together, yeah. I'm gonna break it down to you like this. It goes a little something like this. I'm gonna slow it down for you. But I'm speaking from the
No,
heart.
bro.
All right, I'm being
No,
real.
bro. No.
It goes like
No.
this.
No, it doesn't.
It goes the battle in your heart.
Oh my
Let
God.
it go, let it go.
No, bro. I'm about to let it go. I'm about to let it all go.
And watch the world grow. Come on, I don't think you heard me. Come on now.
Oh my. I did
The
not hear
battle
you.
in your heart. There you go.
Oh
let it
my
go,
God.
let it go.
Nope.
Spread a little love and watch the world grow. One more time. I said the battle in your heart. There you go. Let it go, let it go.
Let it go, everybody in the stream. Let it go.
Are we gonna just
Let
say
it go.
spread a little love? That's all we're gonna say.
Wow.
I said spread a little love. Come on now. I said spread a little love. Come on now. I said spread a little love. Clap your hands up. Spread a little love. Can you feel me now? Spread a little love. Clap your hands up. Spread a little love. Everyone singing. Spread a little love. Come on now.
From the stump his ass. Better do what Nato said, cause niggas die from pumping gas.
Spread a little love, yeah. I said spread a little love, and I say peace. Come on now.
Hello.
Come on now. I gotta hear. Hold me together. Said hold me together, yeah. And I say peace and love. But we ain't asking for much. It's just peace and love. That's all it is. We ain't asking for much. Together. There you go. And I say peace. Come on now. And love. And love. Yeah. Hold me together. Yeah. And
Bro,
I
that's
say
my jam.
peace.
That's my new jam.
And love. Hold me together.
Hold me. Hold me. Hold me extra close. Hold me. No homo. Hold me.
My body.
My body.
Give it up for yourself. There is a beautiful future that we are fighting for. And people are coming out here with love for their siblings, their sisters in Texas, in Kentucky, in Mississippi. Love for their sisters in Oklahoma. In 26
LFA, you have to agree with everything that they say. What are you doing? You can't disagree with anything they say, or else you're a bigot.
So next up, we have Ron Miller, president of Purple for Parents, an independent researcher who has spent over 10 years uncovering the truth of what is happening in American education. In her search for the truth, she uncovered Indiana as ground zero for the sexual revolution that has infiltrated our schools. She has spent the last several years educating Hoosiers of the atrocities in education. Her battles have also taken.
Thanks for coming in, everybody. I appreciate it. This one got a little bit chaotic, other than the other one.
Where she worked with others to have passed the Parental Rights Bill in 2018.
I was up on this riser with a bunch of other press, corporate media, and a security guy threw a fit, and I stayed up there until the state police told me to get down. So, of course, they're worried about my safety. I was perfectly safe where I was. Good to see you, Press Harder. Good to see you, buddy.
I'm here today to not only speak about the horrific crimes against children, that is abortion, but I'm also here today to help you understand the significant role Indiana plays in the murder of the hire known as Planned Parenthood, and the connections they have to our schools, both here and across the globe. Let me first start by saying, many of you may not be aware, but Indiana is the epicenter to child sacrifice via abortion. And your tax dollars.
You know, I keep seeing signs say Ruth sent us.
Appreciate you, God Empire. Appreciate you for stopping by. If you could, please hit that subscribe. Please hit that subscribe. And if you can, also, please join in the Discord. I would greatly appreciate it. But thank you for stopping by. We up here protesting. We're fighting for America and all our rights. Yeah.
Bad law.
You see, kids they believe in eugenics and work with Satanists in using children.
Satanists? You already know they goddamn Satanists. Goddamn Democrats. Shit.
Fabric of our entire society through our children. 1
But for real, thank you, God Empire, for stopping by. What state are you from, by the way? And where do you lean politically? How do you feel about what's going on? What's been going on, bro?
Ariana Charles, count. He's the author of It's Good to Be a Boy and It's Good to Be a Girl. He is passionate about preaching pastoral care and ending abortion. Joseph co-hosts the Patriarchy Podcast on the Fight.
Some of you may know that guy. That's Indie News on the Street.
Let's welcome Pastor Joseph Spurgeon. Good afternoon, Indianapolis. The Word of God says that all those who hate God love death. And you hate